It was one of those August evenings that seaside towns live for. The air was warm, the arcade lights were beginning to glow, and families drifted between fish and chips shops and the soft sand of Leysdown-on-Sea. This is a place people come to escape, not to become part of a headline. But just after 7 o'clock in the evening, the soundtrack of children laughing and gulls crying was shattered. A voice panicked, sharp cut through the summer air. "You've killed him." Witnesses later told police they saw a man collapse near a holiday park. Some said they spotted a small group of teenagers running from the scene, one of them allegedly shouting words that would stick in everyone's mind. "I've done him." In that moment, this quiet corner of the Isle of Sheppey stopped being a postcard. It became a crime scene. Leysdown-on-Sea sits on the eastern tip of the Isle of Sheppey, a small island off the North Kent coast. For decades, it's been a magnet for summer getaways, rows of caravans, penny arcades, fish and chip counters, and that unmistakable smell of sea salt in the evening breeze. By day, families ride hired bikes along the promenade. By night, the neon glow from the amusement arcades casts colorful reflections across the damp pavement. It's the sort of place where everyone seems to know everyone else, and the loudest drama is usually over who won the biggest toy from the grab machines. On this Sunday in mid August, it was no different, at least at first. Tourists were checking in at the nearby holiday parks. Kids were running in and out of the corner shop for ice creams. Somewhere, music from an old karaoke night drifted over from a pub terrace. The location where the tragedy unfolded was just a short walk from the beach near the line where the caravan park meets a public footpath. That spot, usually just a shortcut for dog walkers and holiday makers, would soon be cordoned off with police tape and floodlit by forensic lamps. Detectives later described it as a sudden act in an open public space, the kind of incident that turns a familiar landmark into a place people avoid, at least for a while. It was just after 7 in the evening when the calm broke. Somewhere near the footpath behind the holiday park, 49-year-old Alexander Cashford found himself in what witnesses later described as a sudden, violent confrontation. Several people nearby reported hearing raised voices, not playful shouting, but sharp, aggressive words carried on the warm summer air. One witness recalled seeing movement near the pathway, then a group of young figures clustered together. Moments later, chaos. A man was on the ground, unresponsive. Around him, scattered stones and what one bystander believed to be a piece of concrete. No one knew yet exactly how it had come to this, only that it had escalated fast. Shouts filled the air. Someone's voice, trembling, yelled, "You've killed him." Another witness claimed that as the group of teenagers began to move away, one of them called out something chilling, words that would later be repeated in court documents. "I've done him." Emergency calls went out immediately. Passers-by tried to help. An air ambulance was scrambled from Rochester, landing in an open area nearby. Paramedics fought to stabilize the man, but after several attempts, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Within minutes, the quiet holiday town was transformed, flashing blue lights, police tape unfurled across the footpath, officers moving quickly to secure the area. By the next morning, detectives with Kent Police had made significant progress. 3 young people, all from London, were in custody. The first was a 16-year-old girl. Alongside her were 2 boys, aged 14 and 15. Police said each was being held on suspicion of murder in connection with the events at Leysdown-on-Sea. The arrests were carried out swiftly. Officers moved in within hours of the incident, and by dawn, the teenagers were being questioned at secure youth detention facilities. But there was more. A 12-year-old girl from Basildon in Essex had also been detained as part of the investigation. She was not charged immediately, but police confirmed she remained in custody while further inquiries took place. Because they are all under the age of 18, the law prevents their names, photographs, or any personal details from being made public. For the people of the Isle of Sheppey, and for many following the story across the UK, that anonymity only added to the mystery. Detectives stressed that despite the arrests, the investigation was far from over. They continued to gather CCTV footage, speak to witnesses, and build the timeline of what happened in the crucial minutes before and after the attack. By the time the sun had set over Leysdown-on-Sea, the footpath behind the holiday park looked like something out of a police drama. Bright lamps illuminated the cordoned off area. The flicker of blue and red lights reflected off the caravans nearby. Kent Police's forensic teams moved methodically. Officers in white suits and gloves knelt over small numbered markers placed along the path. Photographers captured every angle. Near the spot where Alexander Cashford had fallen, several stones lay scattered, some with dark staining that would later be tested in a laboratory. On the grass verge, a larger object caught attention, what appeared to be a section of concrete. Witnesses had mentioned seeing something like it in the moments before the man collapsed. This too was carefully collected and sealed in evidence bags. Police dog units swept the surrounding area, sniffing along hedgerows and searching the beach access points. Meanwhile, another team examined a silver Volkswagen Polo found in a nearby pub car park. The vehicle was marked of interest and transported away on a recovery truck for further inspection. Detectives also began pulling CCTV from the holiday park entrances, the nearby arcades, and even private doorbell cameras from surrounding streets. In cases like this, building the timeline is everything, and every frame of footage could help. In Leysdown-on-Sea, news travels fast, but nothing like this. By the next morning, the word murder was being whispered in cafes, on caravan porches, and in the aisles of the local shop. For many residents, it was unthinkable. This was supposed to be a safe escape from city life, a place for families to unwind, not a place for police tents and crime scene tape. Long-time locals stood by the cordon, looking toward the blocked-off path. Some shook their heads in disbelief. One woman, a shop owner just a few doors down, told reporters she had assumed there'd been a medical emergency, perhaps a fall or a heart problem. She never imagined it would be something so violent. Holidaymakers, too, were caught off guard. For visitors who had arrived that weekend, the sudden presence of uniformed officers and forensic teams felt surreal. A father staying at one of the caravan parks said his children were asking questions he didn't know how to answer. Behind the shock was something deeper, a sense of loss of innocence for the town. Leysdown-on-Sea had weathered storms before, but not like this. People here pride themselves on knowing their neighbors, but in this case, the suspects weren't from the island. That added a strange twist, a crime committed in their home by outsiders, and all of them still just teenagers. For many, the question wasn't just what happened, but how could something like this happen here? For Kent police, the hours immediately after an arrest are just the beginning. In a case this serious, detectives know that the public can often hold the missing pieces. By Monday morning, the major incident public portal was live. Officers urged anyone who had been in Leysdown-on-Sea that Sunday evening to come forward, even if they thought what they saw was minor. A passing remark, a shadow on the path, the sound of raised voices. Sometimes the smallest details can be the hinge that swings an investigation open. They also asked for CCTV, dashcam, and even doorbell footage from the area surrounding the holiday park. Every clip could be time stamped, plotted, and matched to witness accounts, helping investigators lock down the sequence of events to the minute. The appeal included a dedicated phone lines or 162265 2006 and a clear instruction to reference case number 4603938425. For those unwilling to speak directly to police, Crime Stoppers offered an anonymous channel to share information. Detectives were careful with their wording. They didn't release details that could jeopardize the trial, but they made it clear they believed more people had seen or heard something. "Don't assume someone else has already told us," one officer said. "If you know anything, we need to hear from you." Not every violent crime makes national headlines, but this one had all the elements that demand attention. First, the location. Leysdown-on-Sea is not the kind of place where people expect this level of violence. It's a summer postcard town, and that contrast between peaceful image and sudden tragedy made it impossible to ignore. Second, the ages of those accused. When suspects are still in their teens, a 16-year-old girl, a 15-year-old boy, and a 14-year-old boy, the story instantly raises deeper social questions. People want to understand how young lives intersect with such serious charges. Third, the public nature of the incident. This wasn't something hidden away. It unfolded in a space where families were holidaying, walking their dogs, and enjoying a summer evening. It challenged the sense of safety that people carry with them in everyday places. And finally, the mystery. Without names or images, the case became a kind of puzzle with only the facts released by police. That veil of anonymity drew more curiosity, and the nation watched for each small update. For all the details released, there are still questions hanging over Leysdown-on-Sea. What sparked the confrontation? Did the victim and the accused teenagers know each other, or was this a chance encounter? And why did it escalate so quickly in a place surrounded by potential witnesses? Detectives are working through those questions piece by piece. The forensic tests on the stones and concrete section will take time. CCTV will be reviewed frame by frame. Witness statements will be compared against each other, searching for consistencies and inconsistencies. Until the trial begins, many of those answers will remain locked in police files. For the public, it means living with a sense of incompletion, knowing something terrible happened, but not yet having the full story. Cases like this remind us how quickly an ordinary day can be rewritten into a headline. For the people of Leysdown-on-Sea, the memory of that August evening will not fade quickly. For the families involved, both the victims and the accused, it is the start of a long and painful process. As the investigation continues, one thing is certain: more will come to light, and when it does, it will raise as many questions as it answers. If you want to follow the developments in this case and others like it, stay tuned. Subscribe for the next update, share this story so more people understand what's at stake, and keep the conversation respectful in the comments. Because in true crime, the facts matter, but so does the way we talk about them.